Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Friday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky, the trade deadline, the Kobe statue, a narrow loss to Denver. This is the busiest Thursday in Lakers history. That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everyone for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcasts. This one's always free and never behind a paywall. And Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where over 23,000 subscribers go to talk about the trade deadline, Andy, to talk about the unveiling of the first of what is apparently going to be 3 Kobe Bryant statues outside the arena. And of course, an actual game, a game between the Lakers and the Denver Nuggets, the now Western Conference leading Nuggets. That was, it was a loss for the Lakers, but one that they played really hard, despite being down a lot of guys. So where do you want to start? You want to start with the game itself? This was not what it looked like, one where the Lakers were going to get kind of run out of the building pretty early. And they just chipped away and chipped away and chipped away. And they found themselves, in a tie game in the fourth quarter. I was pretty impressed, if nothing else, with the effort.
Yeah, it took a while for the Lakers, I think, to really get any sense of footing. And in particular, the first half, D'Angelo Russell did not play in this game. He had a sore knee. So I guess the mysterious treatment that we had heard about leading up to the trade deadline and, the lack of clarity about his status leading up to the game, as it turns out he ended up missing, and I'm assuming, I do not know this, but that the treatment involved his knee. But that first half, offensively, they really missed D'Angelo Russell. Like, the offense was so raggedy and disjointed and really lacked any type of flow, and it was coming at a time where AD and Reeves were both really struggling to make shots. Rui Hachimura, who I hope he celebrated his birthday before the game, because he's not going to feel like celebrating afterwards. Rui didn't make a basket till the fourth quarter. He had a pretty dreadful outing. So just the first half, they really struggled to get anything going. The second half, they started to find something that worked with a lot of Reeves-LeBron pick and rolls, with Reeves as the ball handler and LeBron as the roller. And they started finding some action there. And then the fourth quarter sparked, by Jackson Hayes, I think, of all people. Jackson Hayes was incredible in the fourth quarter, getting them offensive rebounds, getting them extra possessions, just his overall activity. This was a game that I got to say, you feel like, granted, Denver did not have Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, but you felt like watching this game, if the Lakers had D'Angelo Russell, if they didn't miss Max Christie, who hurt himself twisted his ankle landing on a Denver player's ankle on a drive, didn't play in the second half. You have some combination of Cam Reddish or Gabe Vincent. Like, I'm not saying the Lakers win, but you don't feel like it's impossible that they would have won this game.
I'm sorry. I love KCP. Love KCP and regret that he's still not playing for the Lakers. But one KCP doesn't necessarily equal one Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, Cam Reddish, half of a Max Christie game, and D'Angelo Russell. Like, the Lakers were clearly more shorthanded than Denver. What really sticks out, I think your point about D'Lo and the offense, it's a lot of times you see guys, you recognize what they have been bringing when they aren't there to do it. It took Reeves a while to get going in this game. It can be a tough spot for him to be the guy who orchestrates the offense. And it took a minute, and, he was better later as it went along. Anthony Davis in this game was just spectacularly good. The effort to keep the Lakers in this game. LeBron, I thought, played a really strong game, 25, 9, and 7 for the Lakers. Yep. But Anthony Davis, 14 to 27 from the floor, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 4 blocks. And it's just another example of AD
What,
elevating, to
in the
bring up a
second
Lakers
half,
team.
really, AD struggled a lot in the first half of this
The whole
game.
team did.
But I'm just saying, like, it really speaks. I'm accentuating your point, not disputing it. Him turning it on as the team clearly needed it to happen, or there was no way they were going to get back into this game at all.
It's just you wish you lose to the Nuggets without all of those people. It is reasonable to think that was going to happen. You wish that there were ways that the Lakers could reward as a group the efforts of somebody like Davis, and certainly LeBron. Again, I thought LeBron played a really good game. This is where you can't get by with 2 points from Rui in 38 minutes. That just can't happen,
Christie was really struggling before he got hurt.
Yep. He finished 2 of 7 from the floor. Taurean Prince, he was actually the offensive catalyst for them in the for most of the first half, but didn't score in the second half. It's like, the buckets sort of became hard to go by. And I will say the defensive effort in this game, it is a continuation of what they've been doing really since they found something in that Boston game. The effort and the intensity and all that stuff that you want, it was there. And it's one of these games. It's disappointing. It would have been an amazing night if they won, just as much just because of the circumstances, to have that kind of gutty, gritty comeback on the night that you're revealing the Kobe statue and they're wearing the Mamba uniforms and all that kind of the storyline is tailor-made for that kind of thing. Unfortunately, the writers just didn't really come through with it. But it's hard to complain. I mean, I can't get upset about what the Lakers did on the floor tonight.
No, I mean, there were moments in the game where they weren't playing well that were upsetting because you don't like the execution, or you just things look really ragged. We talked about Austin Reeves turning it on as the game went along, and he definitely, his second half was much stronger than his first, and Reeves played a big role, I think, in getting them back into it. He also had an inexplicably bad gamble with 1:05 left in the fourth quarter, games within 5. Nikola Jokic is at the top of the arc, and he's being guarded by AD, and Taurean, I think, is guarding Jamal Murray, but he's pretty close. Reeves decides to get, and when I say gamble for a steal, I mean he moved a good at least 20 feet off Michael Porter Jr., trying to get this steal from behind. Either Jokic felt him coming or Murray called it out, but either way, as Jokic always does, he pinged the ball to the open guy, Michael Porter Jr., who had been really hot in this game and is a 40% three-point shooter on volume. He hit that three. That was just, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Moments like
I get, you're trying to make a play and all that, but there's still enough time left in the game just to play it straight and get it.
And it just, Reeves has got to stop leaving shooters open. He's just got to stop it.
Yeah. I mean, I will say I find the sort of standard Austin Reeves helps too far off of a shooter, a corner shooter, play more annoying in some ways than the one that you were describing there, because at least on that one I understand. 5 stops are starting to get hard to get, like you're trying to make a play. I'm not saying it was a good play. I'm just, I get it. The ones where he overhelps and leaves the shooters open, those are infuriating. But sure. In any game you win, even the ones you win, you're going to have plays that you like, well, that was bad. But I just thought, given what they had, it's hard to walk away from this one annoyed at what transpired on the floor. I mean, the Denver Nuggets are really flipping good.
If
and
the
they
Lakers
were not messing around in this game.
If the Lakers play with this type of hustle and aggressiveness and hopefully better execution with a few more guys available, they will not solve every problem that they have, but they will solve many of them. the focus I thought that they had in this game and the way that they went about trying to win it while very shorthanded and getting more shorthanded as the game went along. I'm like you. I have no angry complaints about it. I just wish that they had been able to pull it out.
So we did a mini episode after the deadline earlier on Thursday, and so a lot of our commentary, you can go back and check out that. But Andy, Rob Pelinka, the general manager of the Lakers, he spoke to the media Thursday about the deadline. The Lakers make no moves. They did nothing, not a zip. It wasn't even slow. It was non-existent. What did Rob say, and is he correct? Next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by eBay Motors, and our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long, whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire each week. We're going to provide you with players guaranteed to fit your roster. So let's see who Josh has picked out for this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. Marvin Bagley III, he's now Washington's likely starting center after the Daniel Gafford trade. He is worth grabbing for fantasy leagues. Again, it doesn't matter if the Wizards win. You just need stats from Bagley. And then Benedict Mathurin with Buddy Hield now in Philly. More minutes for Mathurin. Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows that a championship is about each player being the perfect fit. It's the same with your vehicle. There is nothing worse than having your vehicle break down in real time. It happened to me years ago where my engine ended up catching on fire. And it's like, I wish I had used eBay Motors back then. I could have saved myself a lot of trouble. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure that it stays running smoothly. They got brake kits. They got LED headlights. They even have fire extinguishers. Whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride or die the first time, every time, your money back. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
So Rob Pelinka confirmed, Andy, basically what we had talked about in the mini show this on Thursday afternoon, that the Lakers tried to make deals and they felt like the ones that were out there for them, the cost was well beyond the benefit. And then, in terms of stuff that they might have wanted to do, you got to have people to work with. And as Rob Pelinka said to the media ahead of Thursday's game, you can't buy a house that's not for sale. Whether he is accurate in all this stuff, like to really understand what the Lakers didn't do or why they didn't do it, I need to know what they said no to. Like, I need to know what deals they could have said, yes, we'll do that, and they said, no, we won't instead. Without knowing that exactly, it's hard to get too worked up. It was good, at least. I mean, part of me expected like Rob not even to talk. And I realized like trade deadline day, you kind of have to, but like they get so silent sometimes. I wasn't 100% sure he was going to do a press conference.
I knew he'd be available if for no other reason than Kobe's statue's being unveiled. Rob Pelinka is going to be around. If he doesn't make himself available under those circumstances, then it really looks like he is trying to hide from the decisions that were made.
Yeah.
So I fully expected him to talk.
Yeah, I mean, I expected it. There was a part of me that was just like, wasn't 100% sure. And you could use the Kobe night as, I don't want to overshadow. I mean, I'm just saying, you could come up with a reason, but it was
then you're using.
He didn't say anything I didn't expect him to say.
Then it looks especially bad then because then you're using Kobe as your excuse. And that's an even worse look.
I didn't say it would have been a good look. I'm just
but I'm saying this is why I had no doubt he would talk. I thought this is an interesting quote. I'm seeing it from Daniel Starkind on Twitter from Lakers Nation. Quote, "We didn't want to shoot a small bullet now that would only lead to a very marginal improvement at the expense of making a much bigger and impactful move potentially in June or July. Sometimes no move is better than an unwise move." And like you, we'll start hearing things that maybe could have been possibilities. But based off what we did see today and the type of deals that did happen at this deadline, I'm inclined to think that Pelinka read the landscape correctly in terms of who the Lakers could have realistically and sensibly brought to the team. But that also means now that the summer is going to be under an even brighter spotlight. And that is to some degree the trade-off that you make. I mean, I recognize with the Lakers, every offseason is always under a big spotlight. But for example, this past one, there were signs of a plan with continuity that seemed to have Laker fans very happy. And Rob Pelinka managed to make it happen. And that offseason in the spotlight, it felt like there was a good vibe heading into it, and there was a good vibe heading out of it. This offseason, and I'm not even counting the whole will he, won't he with LeBron and his player option, but just the idea that you stood pat, that is going to put much more scrutiny on Rob Pelinka's moves this offseason, even if he happened to be correct in his diagnosis at the deadline, which were I to bet he was.
But I don't think you can really separate, because all the, that stuff about the additional scrutiny on the summer can't really be separated from the context of LeBron and what he's going to do with that option, which I think he's going to pick up, folks. I don't think LeBron wants to leave, and I don't think the Lakers want him to go. And I don't think not acquiring Royce O'Neal at the deadline is going to be the kind of thing that drives LeBron James at 39, 40 years old out of town. Like that would, let me put it to you this way. Acquiring Royce O'Neal wouldn't have kept him here either. Going out and trading for, a backup point guard or something like that. Those were not moves that were going to keep him here. If he's either going to stay or go based on where they are at the end of the season, what he thinks the prospects are for next year, what his family wants to do. There were no transformative moves that LeBron was clearly leaning on the team to make. DeJounte Murray didn't move. I'm not calling him transformative, but he's the best player that was on the market. Bruce Brown didn't move. Probably the
DeMar
second
DeRozan
best
didn't
player
move.
on the market. DeMar DeRozan didn't move. I think what will be interesting is not just looking at what the Lakers do this offseason, because the pressure to trade those picks and to turn them into a star is going to be obviously much higher now, because they didn't make any kind of moves. They didn't get Bogdanovich. They didn't do any of that supporting stuff. Go back and listen to the podcast from Thursday afternoon. We can explain why. A lot of it's just salary structure. They didn't have players to send out for some of these people. But it's also, I think, there's going to be a kind of a revisiting of the summer of Rob from last year, which you and I were absolutely enthusiastic about, particularly given the alternatives. But some of it just hasn't turned out as, like Rui. I realize I'm not trying to pick on a guy who had 2 points in 38 minutes and probably his worst game of the year with real playing time.
And it's his birthday.
I just, he has, whether it's entirely his fault, you want to blame Darvin, whatever it is, he's not played very well. He has not turned himself into an asset that teams would be excited to acquire. The Gabe Vincent thing, not Rob's fault. I don't think. Maybe we stop signing Heat guards. Maybe that's the moral of the story. But I do think at the end of the year, there's, particularly if D'Lo lead, like there's going to be a revisiting of the Pelinka summer. And it will be interesting to see how that turns out. And then obviously what they do going forward.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this before. I tend to agree with you that LeBron is going to resign, but I'm also not really sweating the idea of him leaving, because I'm not going to pretend that LeBron James leaving the Lakers is not a big deal, because it is. But with all sincere respect to LeBron, you're only going to be doing this for so much longer anyway. And building around LeBron, I think if everybody is being open and honest about this, is becoming more and more complicated because of where he is in his career and the amount of help that is now required for him to both play at the level that you want him to and not have to play at the level that you want him to. And as much as every team looks to get their superstars help, they also want their superstars to perform like superstars as much as they can. And given where LeBron is right now, you're in a weird place where you almost don't want him to perform like a superstar particularly often.
That is the argument for waiting and making yourself as strong as possible in the offseason. This summer is going to be a hard one for the Lakers, but they're in better shape than they were. They should be in decent shape. They should have some flexibility. They should have some ability to make some moves. It's just, Pelinka, I wonder if some of the residual anger over the non-movement on Thursday is really kind of looking back at like them still digging themselves or climbing out of the Westbrook hole that they created. Like it's all still relevant. So we'll see, anyway, the Kobe statue ceremony, say what you want about the Lakers on the floor. Off the floor, they still do this stuff really, really well. We'll talk about that. Get you ready for the Pelicans game tonight as well. All of that next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Nissan. And are you the type of driver who likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue, it's perfect for city drivers and great escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. And gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, Google Play Store. They're built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment center. That's a really big screen. 2024 Rogue, it is the perfect mid-size crossover for your next adventure. Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder. It has room up to 8, an expansive cargo capacity, and advanced 4x4 capability with 284 horsepower and up to 6,000 pounds towing. Take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, and the Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop nissanusa.com.
Locked On Lakers also brought to you by Logix. On this show, you get a lot of in-depth analysis and hot takes. Well, let me give you my hottest take of the day. A really hot day for the Lakers, no less. The best lineup in LA and the surrounding areas right now is the lineup of auto loans at Logix. They start off at the top with my favorites, the proven and dependable new and used vehicle loans. You can count on these guys to give you low rates and save you big time bucks. Next up, they've got an exciting new rookie sensation in their electric vehicle loans with super low rates and flexible payment terms. Rounding out their lineup, they've got their auto refinancing and lease buyout loans. With these guys, you could lower your monthly payments and get on the road to owning your car faster. Look, I know it's a hot take, but seriously, no one can beat the lineup at Logix. So visit your local Logix branch right here in LA and the surrounding areas. Let one of their amazing team members help you, or just apply online in minutes at logixbanking.com/car. That's LOGIX banking.com/car. I was not expecting anything less, Andy, but the way the Lakers handled the Kobe Bryant statue ceremony, the people that they brought in to speak, the people that were inside, it was, a very, I guess the only possible I've seen some criticism of just the fact that fans were sort of kept away from it. It was a very small gathering inside of this tent outside the arena, and fans will then have access to it today, starting, I believe, 10 a.m. Local time. But I mean, just the production itself was, as it always is with the Lakers, excellent and befitting the occasion.
Yeah, I will address the fans not being allowed, and I understand why fans would want to be there, particularly when you're talking about a fan base like Kobe's. But that's also the exact reason they couldn't be there, because if you opened up this unveiling to the public, it would have the attendance of like a championship parade. Like it really would. And you can't have a ceremony like that go off with that type of crowd.
I agree.
Like it's just too much to try to handle. And again, I understand why fans wanted to be there. I mean, you and I, for scheduling reasons, could not be there, and I was disappointed that we couldn't attend. Just as people who covered Kobe, and I would love to have witnessed that in person, see the statue up close, but it just was not feasible. But you're right. The people that spoke, the amount of former teammates and former Lakers in the audience. I noticed the Pelicans, they're going to be there tonight. The Lakers playing in the second inning of back-to-back. Larry Nance Jr. was in the audience, watching. He played with Kobe during his rookie year. And just all these different Lakers from different generations. I thought it was really nice. Phil Jackson, during his speech, asked anybody who had been Kobe's teammate or had been a Laker to stand up, which was a nice moment of everybody just acknowledging each other and that connection to Kobe. And as you and I both knew would be the case, the statue's gorgeous. I mean, it really does look good. It is fantastic looking. It was funny, when Vanessa, this seemed like it was a surprise to everybody when Vanessa Bryant announced that there would be eventually 3 statues in the plaza. It reminded me. That wasn't just me missing. I had no information that was out there like that. That felt like new information to me. I would think that you and I, as closely as we follow everything that goes on with this team, and the idea that we get a whole lot of, media relations emails from the Lakers, I feel like if 3 statues was well known, we'd have been in the loop. Maybe I have 3 kids. I can't remember anything. I just was like, oh, 3 like that. That feels new. And the third one, I believe, is one of which will feature Kobe and Gianna. Well, it made me laugh a bit because it reminded me of our ESPN podcast where you and I used to have this thing called the statue game, where it sort of our way, like a different way of talking about different Lakers and sort of their time with the team. The idea was that every single player who ever played for the Lakers would get a statue, and like the size of the statue and the proximity of it to either to Staples Center, now Crypt, or just general location would be in a lot of ways indicative of what they meant to the organization. And we used to always joke that Kobe's statue would be like 25 feet tall in the middle of center court, and everybody would have to you'd have to play around it because Kobe meant that much to the organization, and he work around it. That's fine. Yeah, home court advantage. Exactly. And it feels fitting. I mean, beyond the whole, 8 and 24, and obviously wanting to honor Gigi, like, the seriousness of it and the career, it felt very fitting to just the way Kobe's stature with this organization when he played, after he played, and unfortunately under these circumstances, it's always just so big. It just is. I just think the Lakers, they're getting really, I mean, it's a lot of statues and they're getting really good at it. And I thought the base, I haven't seen it up close, but to see it in the Sunday whites was really cool. It is the finger in the air. I mean, I'm not even going to describe that. I mean, people have seen the picture by now, but a finger in the air. It was one of the poses that was, after 81, it was one of the poses when you and I were trying to predict that I was like, it's either going to be that or I thought him on the scorer's table after the 2010 championship. Which, by the way, could still be coming. I think it will be. And what I also think is just kind of baller about this is Vanessa said, if you don't like the one that we chose, well, Kobe chose it. So, tough bleep, suck it up. And I like the idea just of like, you
you're an immortal in the game when you're like you've had a conversation about what pose do you want for your statue outside, and it's not a joke. Like when you can when not only can you give thought to something like that, you actually kind of need to give thought to something about like that. I mean, that you talk about like big, like that is when you know you've made an impact.
What's interesting about that too, and really fitting, and how much it speaks to who Kobe was, is beyond the idea of like recognizing what you mean to this franchise and NBA culture and this city. It also reflects how Kobe was a really artistic guy, and he would want to be hands-on with this project. Like he would care a lot about what it looks like, not just from a vanity standpoint or an ego standpoint. It's because Kobe cared about that sort of.
Sure. I mean, you don't want to be like that Ronaldo statue that everybody was making fun of a few years ago. Like, some of it is vanity. There's a little vanity in there. One of the things that is just sad about this is there are certain athletes who you're not terribly interested. You don't wish them ill in their post athletic career, but it's like, I don't need to know what they're up to and what they're doing, because what they're doing is probably relatively mundane and doing good stuff in the community or whatever it is, hanging out with their families, but and it's great. But like, you really looked forward to seeing what Kobe was going to be up to, because and I know we've had discussions about this on this show and other shows in the past, different versions of our podcast. He is the most, or certainly up there, tied for the, like, in terms of intellectual curiosity, particularly from an athlete of that stature. And like that was pushing him into places where he could, win Oscars and do all kinds of other stuff. And, it takes time to get good at that stuff. He had, being Kobe allowed him a jump start, it allowed him access to a lot of things, but like, he wasn't going to be as good at, in his, late 30s, early 40s and getting into that stuff as he would have been at 50, 55, after 20 years of making stuff or doing things. He would have been better at it. And it would have been cool to see, just to see what those projects would, the way he channeled the competitiveness and the curiosity and the commitment to excellence into things that weren't basketball.
Yeah, the last thing I just wanted to note, a lot of former Lakers teammates, stuff like that. And of course, Pau Gasol was there, and the Spectrum Sportsnet broadcast happened to capture this moment of Pau in the crowd with Natalia Bryant. An extension of everything Pau's been doing for the Bryant family since Kobe's passing. Let me just say, let us all have friends like Pau Gasol, man. That dude is the best. He's the best.
Locked on Lakers on YouTube is where we can go hang out with over 23. I can't, fast forwarding, Andy. 23.
It'll be 33 soon enough,
we will
baby.
get there with your help, everydayers. Tell a friend, tell 2 or 3 friends.
This is our telethon.
It's where you can go to hang out and leave questions, leave comments. Let us know what you think about the statue, what you think about the trade deadline. Lakers are playing tonight against the Pelicans, and we certainly have every intention. It's a big game.
Important game. They're chasing the Pelicans for the play-in.
Yep. We have every intention of recording after the game, so we will see everybody over the weekend. Thanks.